What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, so we are going to continue our coverage over the X-Men, and we are going to jump back over to Wolverine as we work our way up to Days of Future Present, the next crossover that we are going to talk about when it comes to X-Men comics down the road. Now, getting back over to Wolverine, we are going to cover a two-part story arc. Now, this two-part story arc is really more of Wolverine fighting against drugs. And yes, you heard that right. It's Wolverine fighting against drugs. Somebody who is trying to use drugs as a way to make a super soldier. And you see what I mean as we go through today's video. But before we dive into today's storyline, there is something I do want to mention. The idea that around this time in Marvel Comics, you had the world believe that the X-Men were dead. You see, back in the 1980s, we had an event called Fall of the Mutants. In that event, you had the X-Men give up their lives on live television as a way to save the world from the adversary. Now, the world believed, okay, the X-Men had died, but not knowing that soon after they had given up their lives, they were brought back to life by Lady Roma. Now, right after coming back to life, you had the X-Men decide that it was best for the world to believe that they were dead, because then they could move in the shadows as a way to attack their enemies, but to also protect their loved ones as well. Now, like I said earlier, the entire world believed the X-Men had died, but over time you had different characters finding out that no, the X-Men are alive. And the reason why I'm bringing that up now, because Wolverine has been spending a lot of time in Madripoor, a country where there's technically no laws, but there are a few laws the people have to follow. But in that country, he has been going by the name better known as Patch, as a way to make sure the world does not find out that he is Wolverine. Now, over time, he made some friends with certain characters in that area, like Jessica Drew. But over time, they had learned that Patch was actually Wolverine, that Wolverine and possibly the rest of the X-Men are actually alive, but just pretending to be dead to the rest of the world. And that is really important for today's storyline. And here is the reason why. Because we pick up with Wolverine currently fighting against a character known as Roughhouse in Madripoor. Now, like I said earlier, most of the world believes that Wolverine is dead, and so they know him as Patch, but his close friends know that he is Wolverine. Now, when it comes to our two characters fighting against each other, they are technically fighting for the two crime lords in Madripoor. Now, before I explain more about that, I kind of want to talk more about Roughhouse here. You see, when it comes to Roughhouse, he is a very interesting kind of character, and let me explain why. So I do know that some people out there believe that he is Asgardian, because in later stories, he did mention the idea that he is from Asgard, but that was never technically confirmed. And other stories have told us that he was a mutant. And so he's one of those characters where we haven't truly got a full confirmation on what he actually is. But either way, when it comes to Roughhouse and Wolverine, they're fighting for two crime lords in Madripoor. Now, let me explain why there are two crime lords in Madripoor. You see, around this time in Marvel Comics, you had a character known as Prince Baron. Now, when it comes to Prince Baron, he was the ruler of the entire country, but he used two crime lords as a way to control crime in his country. But each crime lord had a weakness. So, for example, when it comes to Tiger, she said, listen, I will never take part in slavery at all. That was her weakness. But General Coy was like, hey, you know what? I don't mind selling slaves to other people around the world, especially in our country. And so he was able to pick up where she had left off at. And so you had two crime lords not really working together, but being able to control crime in Madripoor. Because again, this is a country that had almost no laws. But either way, Wolverine and Roughhouse were being used as a way to win a bet. But you have Wolverine being able to actually defeat Roughhouse. Now, the bet is not really important for the storyline. But with Roughhouse losing to Wolverine, that becomes very important. Now, Roughhouse does work for General Coy, but after Roughhouse losing to Wolverine, well, we see General Coy actually selling off Roughhouse to somebody else. And it seems that he's going to use Roughhouse possibly as a experiment for something. But now we have to jump over to the palace that belongs to Prince Baron. Now, we see the prince having a conversation with Chief Tai, and Chief Tai is the man in charge of the entire police department of Madripoor. Now we kind of find out that Tai and his men were able to discover that there was going to be a huge shipment of cocaine being delivered to Madripoor for Coy, one of the two crime lords of Madripoor. Now, here's the thing. You see, when it comes to the prince, he does not really mind the idea of drugs being sold in his country, but cocaine is a huge no-no. And so once he found out, he told Tai to shut it down, which he did. And currently Tai in the police department is holding on to that cocaine. Now, after that meeting, we see the prince have another meeting with the same guy we saw earlier who had just bought Roughhouse away from Coy to be used as an experiment or take part in an experiment. But either way, when it comes to our mysterious character, we kind of find out it was him who had sent that huge shipment of cocaine over to Madripoor as a deal made between him and also Coy. And now we're seeing him paying the prince a huge amount of money to get the cocaine back. And he tells the prince that he plans on leaving here in the morning with his cocaine. And he is very sorry about the idea of not asking the prince it was okay to ship cocaine into his country. But now we bring in Wolverine into the story. You see, we kind of find out that it was Wolverine who had apparently discovered that huge shipment of cocaine coming into Madripoor. It was him who had worked alongside with Chief Tai to make sure the delivery never made over to General Coy. And so because of that, when Wolverine's on his balcony, he does pick up on a scent of cocaine nearby. And he knows it's the same cocaine shipment that he stopped yesterday. And now he's wondering why in the world that cocaine is being moved across the city. And why is it heading over to the docks? And so you have Wolverine head straight over there. And he sees that somebody is trying to take all the cocaine and put it on a different ship and trying to leave. And when it comes to Logan, he has to know what exactly is going on here. But now we have to jump over to Hell's Kitchen, where we pick up with a character known as Hammer Cody, who is being chased down by Matt Murdock, who is being Daredevil. Now, when it comes to Hammer Cody, he used to be a big-time boxer, but unfortunately, he had fallen off and got hooked on cocaine. Yes, you heard that right. Now we kind of find out that his recent purchase of cocaine came from our mysterious character from earlier. Now, here's the thing, because we kind of find out that his cocaine has the ability to give people powers, to turn them into super power beings. And so when it comes to Hammer Cody, he got powers, but he went on a rampage. The cocaine did a number to his brain. He is not thinking straight. And so Matt had no choice but to step in and try to stop Hammer. But the problem is Hammer is just too strong for Matt Murdock. But luckily for Matt and the police department, the drugs went to his brain, shutting him down, killing him just like that. And you have Matt wondering what in the world is going on. But now we jump over to our mysterious character, and we kind of find out that his name is Geist. Now, Geist is a cyborg. Now, when it comes to his actual origin, it's not explained completely in this book. Matter of fact, it's explained later on in other books way down the road. And matter of fact, I'm going to save his origin for those books way down the road because I kind of want to move on with this story. Now, when it comes to Geist, he does tell Roughhouse, hey man, listen, you were sold by your boss Koi to me to take part in a very fun experiment. Now, when it comes to Roughhouse, he cannot believe in the idea that his boss had sold him away to be part of some kind of experiment. But you have Geist say, dude, your boss Koi has an entire operation in slavery. Are you really not going to believe the man sold you to me? Like, are you crazy? Either way, it's time for us to get to work. Now, Wolverine also knows that Roughhouse is on the boat as well. His main goal is not just to figure out what in the world is going on with the cocaine, but to also save Roughhouse as well. Even though Roughhouse is a bad guy, to Wolverine, he's a great person to fight against. But now it's time for us to jump into the second chapter of this story, where we pick up with Wolverine being able to attack the ship that belongs to Geist. Now, the men who are working for Wolverine, they don't stand a chance at all at our good old hero. But then you have Geist come out and say, you know what? I've been watching you, but it's time you and I have a conversation. I understand that you are here to stop me, but to also save your friend Roughhouse. Now, you do have Geist take Wolverine into the room where Roughhouse was being held in, except here comes the problem. You see, as soon as Wolverine walks into the room, Roughhouse no longer looks the way he did as we saw in the earlier chapters, thanks to the experiment that Geist has done on him. And we kind of find out that he did inject a new kind of what he believes could be a super soldier serum. But now we know what he is trying to do. He's trying to create a super soldier. But the question is right now, why? And that leads us into the past to kind of learn a tad bit more about the character Geist. Now we kind of find out that Geist is currently living in a small country known as Terra Verde. Now this small country, their president, better known as Felix, he wanted his own super power being. And here's the reason why. You see, in the past, him and Geist and a few other men were watching another character known as Nuke go to work through a test to show that he is a great super soldier. But after watching that test, you have Felix say, hey, you know what? I want our own super soldier, our own super power being. And so that led into Geist saying, hey, I am going to try to deliver your request by giving you a power being by using drugs. Cocaine. Now we already saw when it came to Daredevil that he was able to use that drug to give people abilities, but the problem is they die shortly after. But Roughhouse is different. But getting back over to the present day, we do see Roughhouse being waken up by Geist to attack Wolverine and kind of show that he was able to create a new version of his cocaine drug that made Roughhouse a whole lot stronger and a whole lot faster. Now, Wolverine at first used to be able to handle Roughhouse. They had fought a few times, or really just a couple times by this point in Marvel Comics, but Wolverine always won. This time, he's struggling, and this is Wolverine saying, I'm gonna have no choice but to go ahead and use my claws. Now that's a problem, because again, to the world, Wolverine and the X-Men are dead, but this is Wolverine saying, if I am going to survive, I'm gonna have to go out of my way to kill Roughhouse. Now when it comes to Geist, he already knows that Wolverine plans on killing Roughhouse, and so he steps in and shoots Wolverine with a bunch of tranquilizers as a way to knock him out, or really to slow him down so that Roughhouse can just do enough damage to knock out Wolverine. And after doing that, you did have Geist tranquilize Roughhouse to knock him out to take him away. Now, while you have both characters being knocked out, we do see General Koi arrive on the ship by a helicopter. And this is another meeting where you have the two characters actually trade. You see, when it comes to Koi, he did sell off Roughhouse. He did make money off of it. But now you actually have guys paying Koi once again for allowing Roughhouse to be part of his experiment, but actually working out. And so Koi does get some money, but he also gets a small sample of the serum that Geist had created, in the possibility that Koi could make his own super soldier down the road. But after you have General Koi leave, you then have Prince Baron arrive. Now, when it comes to Prince Baron, we kind of find out that him and Geist have been working together this entire time. And let me explain why. You see, when it comes to Geist, he knew that it was Wolverine, better known as Patch, who has shut down his delivery of cocaine into Madripoor. And he says, listen, I also know that Patch has been causing Prince Baron a lot of problems in his country. So I am able to kill off two birds with one stone. One, get my cocaine back. Two, be able to kill off Wolverine or Patch for Prince Baron. Bam, just like that, I helped the prince out and got my drugs back. And for a bonus, I got a test subject that actually worked out when it comes to the idea of me creating a super soldier. Now, when it comes to Prince Baron, he pays Geist enough money to take the body of Wolverine because he then plans on dropping Wolverine out of a plane, hoping to kill him off. Because he has no idea that Logan is Wolverine. To him, it's just Patch. And he's hoping that Patch is a regular guy who just fell out of a plane and most likely going to die. But now we jump over to President Felix, and you have the president talking to another new character, and her name is Sister Salvation. Now, both characters are going to appear a couple more times in our coverage over the X-Men. Now, when it comes to Sister, she'll appear a few more times than the president, but she's also a mutant, and she has the ability to heal people with her touch. Now, when it comes to Felix, he wants her to come back home to Terra Verde. We kind of find out that they were once lovers or possibly married. Either way, she left him because he became corrupt. Now, this is him saying, hey, come here, come back home with me, because you know what? Even though I am corrupt, I was able to change a lot of things in Terra Verde. But for her, she does not want to be with the man who's so corrupt. And so what he does next, he blows up what could be her clinic or hospital and then force her to stay on his boat, and they head back to Terra Verde. And that's it for them for the time being. But to wrap up today's video, we do jump back over to Wolverine being saved by the few friends he has back in Madripoor. So like O'Donnell, Tiger, and also Archie. They were able to find him just in the middle of the ocean and pull him right back in. But after doing that, he says he is going to invade Terra Verde. Now, here's the thing, because the next two issues for Wolverine is part of Acts of Vengeance. And I'll talk more about that down the road once we fully dive into that actual story arc. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.